Something moved inside you when these words appeared before your eyes. You may think you simply clicked on a video. You may think you were scrolling through your day as you always do, but I want you to understand something before we go any further. You are not here by accident. I saw this moment long before you arrived at it. I knew the hour, I knew the day, I knew the weight you would be carrying when these words finally reached you. And now that you are here, I need you to slow down for a moment and listen carefully, because I am speaking directly to your heart. I know there are things you have not told anyone. I know about the silent battles. I know about the worries that keep returning. I know about the questions you have asked when nobody else was around. I know about the tears you wiped away before anyone could see them. I know about the disappointments you carry behind your smile. Nothing about your life is hidden from me. Not one prayer, not one fear, not one lonely night, not one moment when you wondered whether I was still listening. I was there for all of it. I never left, even when you felt abandoned, even when circumstances convinced you that nothing was changing, even when it seemed as though heaven had become silent. I was still working. I was still guiding. I was still protecting. I was still preparing things that your eyes could not yet see. Many people think my work stops when they cannot see immediate results. But my greatest works often happen in hidden places. A seed grows underground long before it appears above the surface. A foundation is built beneath the ground before a house rises into view. The preparation always comes before the revelation, and that is exactly what has been happening in your life. You have been looking for visible evidence. Meanwhile, I have been working in invisible places. I have been arranging details. I have been moving obstacles. I have been protecting you from things you never knew existed. I have been opening doors you have not yet reached. I have been closing doors that would have harmed you. And one day you will look back and realize that what felt like delay was actually protection. What felt like rejection was actually direction. What felt like loss was actually preparation. There have been moments when you questioned your own strength. Moments when you wondered how much longer you could keep going. Moments when you felt exhausted from carrying responsibilities. Moments when you felt overlooked. Moments when you felt forgotten. But look at yourself. You are still here. You are still standing. You are still seeking me. You are still moving forward. That matters more than you realize. The fact that you are still standing after everything you have faced is evidence that my hand has been upon your life. Many people would have quit. Many people would have given up. Many people would have allowed bitterness to take control. But you kept moving. Not perfectly, not without mistakes, not without struggles, but you kept moving. And I am proud of that. I know you do not always feel strong. I know you sometimes feel tired. I know there are days when faith feels difficult. But strength is not the absence of struggle. Strength is continuing despite the struggle. Strength is choosing hope when fear is easier. Strength is choosing trust when uncertainty surrounds you. Strength is choosing to keep believing when circumstances seem unchanged. And that strength is growing inside you. The season ahead requires a stronger version of you than the season behind you. That is why I have been developing your character. That is why I have been teaching you patience. That is why I have been teaching you trust. Because what I am preparing for you cannot be sustained by the person you used to be. You are growing. You are changing. You are becoming. And even though the process has been uncomfortable at times, it has not been meaningless. Nothing has been wasted. Not your pain, not your waiting, not your tears, not your prayers. I can use every piece of your story, even the chapters you wish had never happened, especially those chapters, because I am a God who specializes in redemption. I take broken things and create beauty. I take mistakes and create wisdom. I take losses and create testimonies. I take pain and create purpose. That is what I do. So stop believing that your story is over. Stop believing that your best days are behind you. Stop believing that your mistakes are stronger than my mercy. They are not. Your future is still being written. Your purpose is still alive. Your calling still matters. And the plans I have for you have not changed. My child, hear me clearly. You are not disqualified. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are not alone. I am closer than you think, closer than your next breath, closer than your next thought, closer than the fear that tries to speak against your future. And because I am with you, you do not need to fear what is ahead. You do not need to carry tomorrow's burdens today. You do not need to solve every problem this moment. You simply need to trust me one step at a time, one day at a time, one decision at a time. That is how faith grows. That is how miracles begin. That is how breakthroughs arrive. Before we continue this journey together, I want you to make a simple declaration of faith. If these words are speaking to your heart, type, "I trust you, Lord," in the comments. Let that declaration be your first step of agreement. If these words bring comfort to your soul, take a moment to like this message, subscribe, and share it with someone who may be silently needing encouragement today. And if you feel happiness, peace, and hope through these words, and want to help this ministry continue reaching more hearts, you can support this work through the link given below. What I am about to reveal in the next part will help you understand why the waiting season has lasted longer than you expected, and what I have been doing behind the scenes all along. There is something I need you to understand about the season you have been living through. Many times you looked at your situation and believed nothing was happening. Many times you examined the circumstances around you and concluded that progress had stopped. Many times you wondered why answers seemed delayed. Many times you asked why doors remained closed. Many times you questioned whether your prayers were truly reaching me. But I want you to hear me carefully today. Just because you could not see movement does not mean I was not moving. Just because you could not see progress does not mean progress had stopped. Just because you could not see my hand does not mean my hand was absent. I have been working continuously, every day, every night, every moment, even during the times when you felt most discouraged. I know waiting is difficult. I know it challenges your faith. I know it tests your patience. I know it forces you to face uncertainties you would rather avoid. But waiting has a purpose. Waiting is not punishment. Waiting is preparation. The world teaches people to rush. The world celebrates instant results. The world encourages people to move before they are ready. But I do not operate according to the world's timetable. I operate according to perfect wisdom. I see what you cannot see. I know what is coming long before it arrives. I understand every detail of your future. Because of that, there are moments when I allow waiting to become part of the process. Not because I enjoy watching you struggle. Not because I want you to suffer. But because I know what must happen before the blessing arrives. Think about a farmer. The farmer plants a seed and then waits. The seed does not immediately produce fruit. The seed first develops roots. Those roots grow where nobody can see them. There is no visible evidence, no immediate reward, no instant harvest. Yet important work is happening beneath the surface. The hidden work creates the future harvest, and that is exactly what has been happening in your life. You have been developing roots, roots of patience, roots of wisdom, roots of endurance, roots of trust, roots of maturity. The things I am preparing to place in your hands require those roots. Without them, the blessing would not survive. Without them, the opportunity would become a burden. Without them, the breakthrough could be lost. So while you were asking why the answer was delayed, I was strengthening the foundation. While you were asking why nothing seemed to change, I was preparing you for what is coming. I was building something inside you. I was creating strength where weakness once existed. I was teaching lessons that cannot be learned through comfort alone. I was shaping your character, and character matters. More than talent, more than ability, more than opportunity. Character determines what you can carry. Character determines what you can sustain. Character determines how far you can go. Many people ask for blessings. Few people ask to be prepared for those blessings. But preparation is an act of love. I prepare my children because I care about their future. I prepare them because I want them to succeed. I prepare them because I know what lies ahead. There were things you wanted that I did not immediately give you. There were opportunities you hoped would happen that never happened. There were plans that seemed perfect to you but did not unfold. And at times you felt disappointed. At times you felt confused. At times you wondered why. Now listen carefully. Some of those closed doors were answers to prayers you had not even prayed yet. Some of those disappointments protected you from future pain. Some of those delays kept you from paths that would have distracted you from your purpose. You judged situations by what you could see. I judged them by what I knew, and what I knew extended far beyond the moment. I have never made a mistake concerning your life, not once. There has never been a moment when I lost control. There has never been a season when I forgot your name. There has never been a day when I stopped caring. Even when life felt uncertain, even when answers seemed absent, even when your heart felt weary, I was there, closer than you realized, working more than you understood, preparing more than you imagined. I know there were nights when discouragement spoke loudly, nights when fear tried to convince you that nothing would change, nights when doubt questioned every promise. But those voices were not speaking the truth. They were speaking from limited vision. They were speaking from temporary circumstances. They were speaking from human understanding. I speak from eternity. I speak from complete knowledge. I speak from perfect wisdom. That is why my promises remain trustworthy even when circumstances appear contrary. I need you to stop measuring your future by your current situation. Your current situation is temporary. Your current struggle is temporary. Your current challenge is temporary. What feels permanent today will eventually become part of your testimony. The chapter you are living is not the final chapter. The story is still unfolding. The pages are still turning. And I am still writing. There is a tendency during difficult seasons to focus entirely on what is missing. People focus on the doors that closed, the opportunities they lost, the relationships that changed, the dreams that seemed delayed. But I want you to begin looking differently. Start noticing what remains. Notice the strength you still possess. Notice the lessons you have learned. Notice the growth that has occurred. Notice the ways I have carried you. Notice the victories that already happened. Gratitude opens your eyes. Gratitude reveals my faithfulness. Gratitude reminds you that I have been present all along. The enemy wants your attention fixed on what has not happened. I want your attention fixed on what I have already done. Because remembering my faithfulness creates confidence for the future. If I carried you before, I can carry you again. If I provided before, I can provide again. If I opened doors before, I can open doors again. If I performed miracles before, I can perform miracles again. My power has not changed. My love has not changed. My promises have not changed. And neither has my commitment to you. My child, I need you to understand this deeply. The waiting season is not evidence that I have forgotten you. The waiting season is evidence that I am preparing something worth waiting for. Do not abandon hope now. Do not walk away now. Do not surrender your faith now. You have come too far. You have survived too much. You have grown too much. And what is ahead is greater than what is behind. Stand firm. Keep trusting. Keep believing. Keep walking. Because what I started in your life, I fully intend to complete. If this message speaks to your spirit today, declare boldly in the comments, God is working for me. Write those words as an act of faith, and remember this throughout your day. What you cannot see is not the same as what does not exist. I am working. I am preparing. I am arranging. And soon you will understand why the waiting was necessary. Stay with me, because in the next part, I will reveal one of the biggest reasons people miss the breakthrough that is already moving toward them. There is something I need to show you today, something that has kept many people standing at the edge of their breakthrough without ever stepping into it, something that has caused countless opportunities to pass unnoticed, something that has prevented people from receiving what was already moving toward them. And if you understand this truth, it can change the way you walk with me from this day forward. Listen carefully. Many people expect me to move in ways they have already imagined. They create a picture in their minds. They decide how the answer should arrive. They decide which door should open. They decide which person should appear. They decide what the blessing should look like. Then they wait for me to follow their plan. But I am not limited to human expectations. I am not confined to human imagination. I often answer prayers through doors people never considered. I often provide through sources people never expected. I often lead through paths people never planned to walk. And because of that, many people miss my movement. They become so focused on one specific outcome that they fail to recognize the opportunities I am placing directly in front of them. I do not want that to happen to you. I want your eyes to be open. I want your heart to remain sensitive. I want you to recognize my hand when it begins moving. There are blessings I send quietly before I send them loudly. There are answers I send in seed form before they appear in harvest form. There are opportunities that arrive disguised as small beginnings. Many people reject the seed because they are waiting for the tree. Many people reject the beginning because they are waiting for the finished result. Many people overlook the opportunity because it seems too ordinary. But I have always worked through beginnings, small beginnings, simple beginnings, unexpected beginnings. Think about David. When others looked at him, they saw a shepherd boy. They saw someone ordinary. They saw someone overlooked. But I saw a king. The beginning did not look like the destination. The present did not reveal the future. And that is often how I work. The thing I am preparing for you may not initially look impressive. It may not arrive with great fanfare. It may not immediately appear larger than life. But do not judge what I am sending by its appearance. Judge it by my presence. Some of the greatest blessings in your future may arrive disguised as simple opportunities, simple conversations, simple decisions, simple moments, moments that seem ordinary until you realize they changed everything. That is why I need you paying attention, not fearful, not anxious, just aware. Many people live distracted lives. Their minds are constantly racing. Their attention is scattered. Their hearts are filled with noise. Because of that, they miss the gentle direction I am giving them. They miss the peace that was meant to guide them. They miss the wisdom that was meant to protect them. They miss the opportunities that were meant to help them. Slow down. Spend time with me. Listen. Reflect. Allow your spirit to become sensitive again. The more time you spend in my presence, the easier it becomes to recognize my voice. And my voice will always lead you toward life. My voice will always lead you toward wisdom. My voice will always lead you toward purpose. The enemy's voice creates confusion. My voice creates peace. The enemy's voice creates fear. My voice creates confidence. The enemy's voice creates panic. My voice creates clarity. That does not mean every step will be easy. It does not mean every answer will come immediately. It does not mean every challenge will disappear overnight. But it does mean you will never walk alone. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing they must have every answer before they move. They wait until every detail is clear. They wait until every uncertainty disappears. They wait until all risk is removed. And while they wait, opportunities pass by. Faith does not require complete visibility. Faith requires trust. Faith says, I may not see everything ahead, but I trust the one who does. That is how Peter stepped out of the boat. That is how Abraham left his homeland. That is how countless people throughout history experienced my faithfulness. They trusted before they understood. They moved before they saw the outcome. They obeyed before they received the explanation. And because they trusted me, they witnessed things they never could have experienced otherwise. I am inviting you into that same kind of trust. Not blind trust, not reckless trust, but confident trust in my character. You know my faithfulness. You have seen me carry you before. You have watched me provide before. You have witnessed my mercy before. So why assume I will abandon you now? I have not changed. The same God who carried you through yesterday is carrying you through today. The same God who opened doors before can open doors again. The same God who healed, restored, protected, and guided is still at work. And I am still writing your story. There may be moments ahead when fear tries to convince you otherwise. Fear will tell you that nothing is changing. Fear will tell you that you have waited too long. Fear will tell you that your opportunity has passed. Do not believe it. Fear speaks from limitation. I speak from possibility. Fear looks at circumstances. I look at purpose. Fear focuses on obstacles. I focus on outcomes. You must decide which voice you will believe, because the voice you believe shapes the direction you walk. Choose faith, choose trust, choose hope, choose expectancy. Not because life is always easy, but because I am always faithful. And faithfulness is stronger than difficulty. I know there are dreams inside your heart that seem dormant, dreams you have protected from disappointment, dreams you have stopped talking about because the waiting became painful, dreams you quietly placed on a shelf. But I want you to know something. I have not forgotten those dreams. The desires I planted within you still matter. The purpose I placed upon your life still matters. The calling I created you for still matters. Do not bury what I planted. Do not abandon what I inspired. Bring those dreams back before me. Place them in my hands. Trust me with them again. Let me breathe life into places where discouragement tried to create hopelessness. Because I am still able to do what seems impossible. I am still able to restore what appears lost. I am still able to create opportunities where none appear to exist. Nothing is too difficult for me. Nothing is beyond my reach. Nothing is beyond my power. My child, I need you to remember this truth as you move forward. Do not become so focused on what you expected that you miss what I am actually sending. Keep your eyes open. Keep your heart ready. Keep your faith alive, because the things I am preparing are closer than you think. And when the moment arrives, I want you ready to recognize it. If you believe that God is preparing something greater than you can currently see, write, "I am ready, Lord," in the comments. Let those words become your declaration of expectation. And carry this truth with you today. What I send may arrive differently than you imagined, but when it comes from my hand, it will always be exactly what you need. Stay with me, because in the next part I am going to reveal why some delays are actually protecting you from blessings that would have hurt you before you were ready to carry them. There is something I want you to understand about the delays you have experienced. Many times you looked at a closed door and called it disappointment. Many times you looked at a delay and called it failure. Many times you looked at an unanswered prayer and called it rejection. But what if I told you that some of the things you mourned were actually acts of protection? What if I told you that some of the doors you begged me to open would have led you into seasons you were not prepared to carry? What if I told you that some of the opportunities you lost would have eventually become burdens too heavy for your shoulders? I see what you cannot see. I know what you do not know. I understand what lies beyond the next corner of your life. That is why my decisions are not based only on your present desires. They are based on your future well-being. You often judge a situation by how it feels in the moment. I judge it by how it will affect your destiny. There were relationships you wanted desperately to keep. You prayed, you hoped, you fought to hold everything together. Yet somehow, those relationships slipped away, and it hurt. It hurt deeply. You wondered why I allowed it. You wondered why the people you trusted changed. You wondered why those connections ended. But there were things happening beneath the surface that you could not see. There were paths forming that would have taken you away from where I was leading you. There were influences that would have weakened your confidence. There were attachments that would have distracted you from your purpose. And because I love you, I protected you. Not always in ways you understood, not always in ways you appreciated at the time, but I protected you nonetheless. There were opportunities you thought were perfect. You imagined how wonderful they would be. You pictured the outcome. You planned the future around them. Then suddenly, everything fell apart. The opportunity disappeared. The door closed. The answer became no. And your heart broke. But I knew something you did not. I knew what was hidden behind that opportunity. I knew what future complications existed. I knew what unnecessary pain could have followed. So I closed the door, not because I wanted less for you, but because I wanted better for you. Never confuse my protection with rejection. Sometimes they look similar in the moment, but they produce very different outcomes. Protection preserves your future. Rejection destroys hope. I am not in the business of destroying hope. I am in the business of preserving destiny. There were seasons when progress seemed painfully slow. You watched others move ahead. You watched opportunities arrive for them. You watched blessings appear in their lives. Meanwhile, you remained where you were, waiting, praying, wondering, and comparison tried to enter your heart. Comparison whispered questions. Why not me? Why not now? Why does their path seem easier? Why does their answer come sooner? But comparison has never revealed truth. Comparison only creates frustration. Because you are comparing different journeys, different callings, different preparations, different assignments. What I am building in your life requires a unique process. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are exactly where you need to be for this season. Trust that. Believe that. Receive that. The enemy wants you to focus on what has not happened yet. I want you to recognize how much growth has already happened. You are stronger now, wiser now, more discerning now, more patient now, more mature now. Those qualities did not appear overnight. They developed through experiences. They developed through waiting. They develop through challenges, and they are preparing you for what comes next. I never waste a season, not one. Every season has purpose, even the painful ones. Especially the painful ones. Pain has a way of revealing what comfort often hides. Pain exposes weaknesses that need strengthening. Pain reveals priorities. Pain teaches dependence. Pain reminds people that they need me. That does not mean I enjoy your suffering. It means I know how to redeem it. I know how to bring purpose from it. I know how to transform it into something valuable. That is what I have been doing all along. There are things you learned in difficult seasons that you could never have learned during easy ones. There are truths you discovered during hardship that prosperity never could have taught. There is wisdom inside you today because of what you survived yesterday. Do not underestimate that wisdom. Do not dismiss that growth. Do not ignore what I have already accomplished within you, because the person reading these words right now is not the same person who began this journey. You have changed. You have developed. You have grown, and that growth matters. The blessing that is coming is not arriving for the person you used to be. It is arriving for the person you are becoming. That is why preparation matters so much. I am not interested in giving temporary breakthroughs. I am interested in establishing lasting transformation. Temporary success fades. Temporary excitement disappears. Temporary solutions eventually fail. But when I build something, I build it to last. When I prepare someone, I prepare them thoroughly. When I open a door, I provide what is needed to walk through it successfully. That is why patience remains so important. Patience is not passive. Patience is active. Trust. Patience says, even when I do not understand, I believe God knows what He is doing. Patience says, even when answers seem delayed, I trust His timing. Patience says, even when circumstances are confusing, I believe His plan is still unfolding. And that kind of trust honors me. It creates space for faith to grow. It strengthens your spirit. It prepares your heart. There may still be moments ahead when waiting feels difficult. There may still be days when uncertainty feels heavy. There may still be times when answers seem far away. But remember what I am telling you today. Some delays protected you. Some closed doors saved you. Some disappointments redirected you. Some losses prepared you. And one day you will see clearly what you cannot fully understand right now. One day you will recognize my fingerprints on every chapter. One day you will see how carefully I guided your steps. One day you will understand that I was working for your good even when circumstances suggested otherwise. My child, do not lose heart. Do not allow temporary frustration to make permanent decisions. Do not allow present uncertainty to erase future hope. Keep walking with me. Keep trusting me. Keep believing me. Because the story is not finished. The breakthrough is still coming. The promise is still alive. And my hand is still upon your life. If this message speaks to your heart today, write, God's timing is perfect. In the comments, let that declaration become your reminder whenever impatience tries to steal your peace, and stay close. Because in the next part, I will reveal one of the greatest weapons the enemy uses against your future, and how you can overcome it before it steals another day of your life. Today, I want to speak to you about one of the greatest battles taking place in your life right now. It is not happening around you. It is happening within you. It is the battle for your thoughts. The battle for your focus. The battle for what you choose to believe. Many people spend their lives fighting visible problems while ignoring the invisible battle that influences everything else. But I see the hidden struggle. I see the thoughts that arrive late at night. I see the fears that attempt to convince you that your future will never improve. I see the lies that try to disguise themselves as facts. I see the discouragement that whispers when nobody else is listening. And I want you to know something. Not every thought that enters your mind deserves your agreement. Many of the thoughts troubling you were never meant to become permanent residents in your heart. They arrived as visitors. But somewhere along the way, you began treating them like truth. The enemy understands something important. He knows that if he can influence what you believe, he can influence how you live. If he can convince you that you are defeated, you will stop fighting. If he can convince you that nothing will change, you will stop expecting. If he can convince you that your future is hopeless, you will stop pursuing purpose. That is why so many attacks begin in the mind. Before fear controls actions, it influences thoughts. Before doubt weakens faith, it enters the imagination. Before discouragement steals joy, it first changes perspective. And this is why I am speaking to you today, because some of the battles you are facing are not battles of circumstance. They are battles of belief. You have been allowing voices of fear to speak louder than my promises. You have been listening to worst-case scenarios more than my truth. You have been measuring your future by your current struggle instead of measuring it by my faithfulness. And that must change. I never intended for fear to become your guide. Fear is a terrible leader. Fear exaggerates problems. Fear magnifies obstacles. Fear predicts disasters that never happen. Fear convinces people to remain trapped inside limitations that no longer exist. Fear steals opportunities. Fear destroys confidence. Fear weakens vision. But faith does the opposite. Faith sees possibility where fear sees impossibility. Faith sees opportunity where fear sees risk. Faith sees hope where fear sees failure. Faith does not ignore reality. Faith simply believes that reality is not greater than my power. There were moments in your life when faith came naturally. You believed easily. You expected good things. You trusted without constant hesitation. Then disappointment happened. A prayer seemed unanswered. A relationship changed. A door closed. A dream was delayed. And slowly fear began building walls around your heart. You told yourself those walls were protection. You convinced yourself lower expectations would prevent future pain. You stopped dreaming as boldly. You stopped believing as confidently. You stopped expecting as freely. But those walls have also been limiting what I want to do within you, because fear does not merely protect people from disappointment. Fear often prevents them from receiving blessings. Many people pray for change while secretly expecting nothing to happen. Many people ask for miracles while preparing for failure. Many people seek breakthrough while agreeing with defeat. And then they wonder why their faith feels weak. Faith grows where agreement exists. What are you agreeing with? Are you agreeing with fear? Or are you agreeing with my promises? That question matters, because agreement shapes direction. The words you repeatedly speak become beliefs. The beliefs you repeatedly hold become actions. The actions you repeatedly take become habits. And habits shape destiny. That is why I care about your thoughts. That is why I care about your words. That is why I care about what you allow to remain in your mind. There are some thoughts you need to stop entertaining. Thoughts that say you are too late. Thoughts that say you missed your chance. Thoughts that say nothing will improve. Thoughts that say your mistakes define you. Thoughts that say your future is limited by your past. Those thoughts are not from me. I do not speak hopelessness. I do not speak condemnation. I do not speak defeat. I speak life. I speak purpose. I speak restoration. I speak possibility. I speak hope. When I look at you, I do not see only where you have been. I see where you are going. When I look at you, I do not focus only on your mistakes. I focus on your potential. When I look at you, I do not see a finished story. I see a story still being written. That perspective changes everything. You cannot move confidently into tomorrow if you remain imprisoned by yesterday. You cannot embrace new opportunities while clinging to old failures. You cannot receive what I am sending if your hands remain full of fear. Release it. Release the anxiety. Release the worry. Release the constant need to control every outcome. Trust me, not because you understand everything, but because I do. Not because circumstances always make sense, but because my wisdom extends beyond circumstances. Not because every answer has arrived, but because my faithfulness has already been proven. Look back over your life. There were situations you thought would destroy you. Yet here you are. There were seasons you thought you would never survive. Yet here you are. There were moments when fear predicted disaster. Yet the disaster never arrived. Instead, I carried you. I strengthened you. I protected you. I guided you. And I am doing the same thing today. You are not walking into the future alone. You are walking with me. That changes everything. The challenge ahead is not bigger than me. The obstacle ahead is not stronger than me. The uncertainty ahead is not beyond my wisdom. Nothing you face surprises me. Nothing catches me unprepared. Nothing is outside my authority. So stop giving fear authority that belongs to me. Stop allowing doubt to speak louder than truth. Stop allowing temporary circumstances to define eternal promises. Choose faith. Choose trust. Choose courage. Not because you feel strong every day, but because I am strong every day. My child, I want you to remember this whenever fear returns. Fear may knock on the door of your mind, but you do not have to invite it inside. You have the authority to reject what does not align with my truth. You have the authority to choose faith instead. You have the authority to stand on my promises. And when you do, something powerful begins to happen. Peace returns. Confidence grows. Hope rises. Strength increases. Vision becomes clear. That is what I want for you. That is what I am leading you toward. If this message is speaking directly to your heart, write, "I choose faith over fear," in the comments. Make that your declaration today. If these words bring comfort to your soul, take a moment to like this message, subscribe, and share it with someone who may be silently needing encouragement today. And if you feel happiness, peace, and hope through these words, and want to help this ministry continue reaching more hearts, you can support this work through the link given below. There is a reason you are hearing these words right now. The next part contains a truth that could completely transform the way you view your future and the purpose I placed upon your life. Do not miss it. There is something I want to reveal to you today that many people spend years trying to understand. It is the reason some of your greatest battles happened. It is the reason some of your deepest struggles were allowed to remain longer than you expected. It is the reason your journey has looked different from the journeys of others around you. The reason is purpose. Not ordinary purpose. Not temporary purpose. Not a purpose limited to one season of your life. A purpose that reaches far beyond what you can currently see. Many people think purpose begins when success arrives. Many people believe purpose begins when doors open. Many people imagine purpose starts when life finally becomes easy. But purpose was already active long before any visible breakthrough appeared. Purpose was active in the waiting. Purpose was active in the struggle. Purpose was active in the uncertainty. Purpose was active in the difficult seasons, even when you could not recognize it. I want you to understand something important. Your life is not random. Your existence is not accidental. Your story is not meaningless. Before anyone knew your name, I knew it. Before anyone understood your value, I understood it. Before anyone recognized your potential, I placed it inside you. You were created intentionally. You were created carefully. You were created for a reason. There has never been another person exactly like you. There never will be. I did not create copies. I created you with your experiences, with your personality, with your gifts, with your challenges, with your unique perspective. Everything about your life has been part of a larger design. That does not mean every painful thing came from me. It means I know how to use every painful thing for good. There is a difference. I do not waste experiences. I redeem them. I transform them. I use them. The heartbreak you survived taught you compassion. The disappointments you endured taught you wisdom. The struggles you faced taught you resilience. The losses you experienced taught you dependence upon me. What the enemy intended to weaken you, I have been using to strengthen you. What was meant to stop you has been preparing you. What was meant to destroy your confidence has been building your character. And character is essential for purpose. Many people want influence. Many people want success. Many people want promotion. Few people ask to be prepared for those things. But preparation determines sustainability. A blessing without character often becomes a burden. Success without wisdom often creates destruction. Opportunity without maturity often leads to regret. That is why I have been preparing you. I care more about who you are becoming than where you are currently standing, because who you become determines what you can carry. And I have called you to carry more than you realize. There are people you will encourage, people you will inspire, people you will help, people whose lives will change because of the lessons you learned during difficult seasons. You may not see them yet. You may not know their names, but I do. Your story is connected to other stories. Your healing is connected to someone else's hope. Your breakthrough is connected to someone else's faith. Your testimony will become evidence that I am still working. That is why your journey matters. That is why your growth matters. That is why your healing matters. Nothing is isolated. Everything is connected. The enemy wants you to believe your struggles were pointless. He wants you to believe your pain served no purpose. He wants you to believe your waiting accomplished nothing. But he is wrong. The lessons you learned during those seasons are becoming tools. The wisdom you gained is becoming guidance. The strength you developed is becoming preparation. One day, someone will need exactly what you learned. One day, someone will need exactly the encouragement you can provide. One day, someone will need proof that difficult seasons can be survived. And your story will provide that proof. I have always worked this way. Think about Joseph. His journey included betrayal, rejection, false accusations, years of waiting, years of confusion, years when nothing seemed fair. Yet every difficult chapter prepared him for the responsibility ahead. Without the preparation, the promotion would have destroyed him. Without the process, the position would have overwhelmed him. Without the waiting, the blessing would have arrived before he was ready. The same principle applies to your life. You are not merely waiting for a blessing. You are becoming the person capable of carrying that blessing. That changes how you view the process. Instead of asking, "Why is this taking so long?" begin asking, "What is God teaching me during this season?" Instead of asking, "Why am I still here?" begin asking, "What is God developing within me?" Instead of focusing entirely on the destination, begin appreciating the transformation happening during the journey. Because transformation is one of my greatest gifts. The world focuses on outcomes. I focus on hearts. The world focuses on appearances. I focus on character. The world focuses on achievement. I focus on growth. And growth is taking place within you right now. Even if it feels slow, even if it feels invisible, even if it feels incomplete, growth is happening. Purpose is unfolding. Preparation is continuing. You may not understand everything today. You may still have questions. You may still wonder why certain things happened. That is okay. Faith does not require complete understanding. Faith requires trust. Trust that I know what I am doing. Trust that I see what you cannot see. Trust that I am leading you towards something meaningful. Trust that your story still matters, because it does, more than you realize. The future I am preparing is not built upon accident. It is built upon intention. Every lesson, every challenge, every victory, every setback, every moment of growth, I have been weaving them together into something greater than you can currently imagine. There are chapters ahead that will make sense of chapters behind. There are answers ahead that will explain present questions. There are blessings ahead that will reveal why certain doors needed to remain closed. You are not at the end of the story. You are in the middle of it, and some of the most beautiful pages have not yet been written. My child, when doubt tries to convince you that your life lacks purpose, remember this. I created you intentionally. I called you intentionally. I am leading you intentionally. Nothing about your life is random. Nothing about your future is forgotten. Nothing about your purpose has been canceled. Keep walking. Keep trusting. Keep growing. Because the plans I have for you are still unfolding. If this message speaks to your heart, write, "My purpose is still alive" in the comments. Declare those words with faith. And stay close, because in the next part, I'm going to reveal one of the greatest reasons people remain stuck in old seasons, even when I am calling them into something new. There is something I need you to understand before I can take you further into what I have prepared for you. Many people pray for a new season while refusing to release the old one. Many people ask me to open new doors while they continue staring at doors that have already closed. Many people desire change, but remain emotionally attached to what they must leave behind. And because of that, they remain stuck between where they were and where I am leading them. I do not want that for you. I want you moving forward. I want you walking freely. I want you stepping confidently into the future I have prepared. But before that can happen, there are some things you must release. Not because those things were always bad. Not because those things never mattered. But because they no longer belong in the season ahead. There are memories you continue replaying, conversations you continue revisiting, failures you continue carrying, regrets you continue feeding, disappointments you continue reliving. And every time you return to those places, you strengthen chains I already gave you the power to break. I never intended for your past to become your permanent address. Your past contains lessons. Your past contains wisdom. Your past contains experiences that help shape you. But your past was never meant to define you. It was meant to prepare you. There is a difference. Preparation equips you. Definition limits you. And some of you have been allowing old seasons to define what I only intended to prepare. You continue calling yourself by names I never gave you. You continue identifying yourself through mistakes I already forgave. You continue measuring your worth by moments that do not represent who you truly are. That must end. The person you were is not the person you are becoming. The mistakes you made are not your identity. The failures you experienced are not your future. The disappointments you endured are not your destiny. I see you differently. I see who you are becoming. I see the strength developing inside you. I see the wisdom growing within you. I see the faith being refined. I see the courage emerging. I see the healing taking place, even when you cannot see it yourself. Some of the greatest struggles you face today come from trying to carry things I never asked you to carry. You carry guilt that I already forgave. You carry shame that I already removed. You carry condemnation that I never assigned to you. You carry burdens that were never yours to bear. And because your hands remain full of old burdens, they struggle to receive new blessings. Imagine trying to receive a gift while refusing to release the heavy stones already filling your hands. That is what many people are doing spiritually. They ask for more while refusing to release what is weighing them down. But I am calling you into freedom, real freedom, freedom from guilt, freedom from shame, freedom from regret, freedom from the lies that keep reminding you of who you used to be, freedom to become who I created you to be. There is a reason the enemy constantly reminds you of your past, because he is afraid of your future. If he can keep your eyes focused backward, you will never fully move forward. If he can keep you reliving yesterday, you will never embrace tomorrow. If he can keep you trapped in old wounds, you will never discover new possibilities. But I did not create you to live looking backward. I created you to move forward. Forward in faith. Forward in hope. Forward in purpose. Forward in confidence. There are people who hurt you. People who misunderstood you. People who betrayed your trust. People who spoke words that wounded your heart. And although years may have passed, some of those wounds still affect you. You may not talk about them often. You may not even think about them every day. But the pain remains hidden beneath the surface. I see it. I understand it. And I want to heal it. Healing begins where honesty begins. Stop pretending those wounds do not exist. Bring them to me. Talk to me about them. Release them to me. You do not have to carry them alone anymore. Forgiveness does not mean pretending the pain never happened. Forgiveness means refusing to allow the pain to control your future. Forgiveness means releasing the debt into my hands. Forgiveness means trusting me to handle what you cannot. I know forgiveness is not always easy. I know some wounds cut deeply. I know some betrayals change the course of your life. But holding on to bitterness does not protect you. It imprisons you. Bitterness keeps old wounds alive. Bitterness ties your future to your pain. Bitterness consumes energy that should be invested in growth. That is why I am asking you to release it, not for the benefit of those who hurt you, for your benefit, because freedom awaits on the other side of release. And freedom is where I am leading you. There are dreams you abandoned because disappointment convinced you they would never happen. Dreams that once filled your heart with excitement. Dreams that once inspired your prayers. Dreams that once motivated your actions. But after enough setbacks, you quietly placed those dreams aside. You stopped talking about them. You stopped believing in them. You stopped expecting anything from them. Yet I have not forgotten them. Not every dream needs to be revived. Some dreams belong to old seasons, but some dreams came from me. And what comes from me does not expire simply because time passes. I know the difference. Trust me with that. Allow me to show you what should be released and what should be restored, because there are things ahead that require room in your heart, room for hope, room for faith, room for expectation, room for joy. You cannot fully embrace the new while remaining emotionally chained to the old. That is why this season of release matters. That is why this moment matters. I am not taking something from you. I am making room for something greater. I am not removing value from your life. I am creating space for increase. I am not diminishing your story. I am preparing the next chapter, and the next chapter cannot begin properly until the previous one is released. My child, hear me carefully. The best way to honor the past is to learn from it, not to live inside it. The best way to honor old seasons is to appreciate what they taught you, not to remain trapped within them. You were created to move forward. You were called to become more than what happened to you. And that is exactly where I am leading you now. If you are ready to release what no longer belongs in your future, write, "I let go," and trust God in the comments. Let those words become your declaration of freedom, and stay with me, because in the next part, I will reveal why some of the greatest blessings I send arrive disguised as ordinary opportunities that many people completely overlook. Today, I want to show you something that many people spend their entire lives missing. They pray for miracles. They pray for breakthrough. They pray for answers. They pray for change. Yet when the answer finally arrives, they fail to recognize it. Not because I did not answer, not because I did not move, but because the answer arrived differently than they expected. Listen carefully. One of the greatest mistakes people make is expecting every blessing to arrive in dramatic fashion. They expect lightning from heaven. They expect immediate transformation. They expect spectacular signs. They expect unmistakable displays of power. And while they are looking for the extraordinary, they overlook the ordinary things I am using to change their lives. I have always worked through ordinary moments. A conversation, a decision, a meeting, an opportunity, a simple act of obedience. These things may appear small at first, but they often become turning points. Many of the greatest changes in your life will begin quietly, not loudly, not dramatically, quietly. That is why discernment matters. That is why attention matters. That is why gratitude matters. Because grateful hearts notice what distracted hearts ignore. I want you to think about something. How often have you asked me for direction while ignoring the wisdom already available to you? How often have you prayed for answers while refusing to take the next obvious step? How often have you waited for a miracle while neglecting the opportunity already sitting in front of you? I do not always reveal the entire path. I usually reveal the next step. And when you faithfully take that step, I reveal another, then another, then another. That is how faith grows. That is how purpose unfolds. That is how lives are transformed. Many people remain frozen because they want certainty before movement. But faith was never designed to work that way. Faith moves first. Faith trusts first. Faith obeys first. Then understanding follows. I know there are times when you wish I would explain everything. I know there are moments when you want complete clarity. You want to know exactly how the story ends. You want to know exactly when the breakthrough arrives. You want to know exactly how every challenge will be resolved. But if you knew everything in advance, faith would no longer be necessary. Trust would no longer be required. Dependence upon me would no longer grow. So I lead you step by step, not because I want to confuse you, because I want to develop you. Every step teaches trust. Every step develops character. Every step strengthens your relationship with me. And that relationship matters more than you realize. The greatest blessing I offer is not merely what I can give you. The greatest blessing I offer is my presence with you. Because when my presence leads you, everything changes. When my presence guides you, confusion loses power. When my presence strengthens you, fear begins to fade. When my presence comforts you, anxiety no longer controls your decisions. That is why I keep calling you closer. Not because I need your attention. Because you need my guidance. You need my peace. You need my wisdom. You need my perspective. There are opportunities already around you that you have not fully recognized. Doors that appear small. Possibilities that seem ordinary. Conversations that seem insignificant. But some of those moments are carrying more purpose than you realize. Be attentive. Be available. Be willing. Do not dismiss small beginnings. Many people miss great blessings because they judge beginnings instead of trusting me. Remember how a seed appears. Small, simple, easy to overlook. Yet within that seed exists an entire future. Roots, branches, fruit, growth, provision. Everything begins in seed form, and many of the blessings I am sending into your life are arriving the same way. Small at first, simple at first, ordinary at first, but carrying extraordinary potential. That is why gratitude is so powerful. Gratitude opens your eyes. Gratitude helps you recognize my fingerprints. Gratitude shifts your focus away from what is missing and toward what is already present. Some of you have been waiting so intensely for the next blessing that you have forgotten to appreciate the blessings already surrounding you. The breath in your lungs, the strength that carried you this far, the lessons you learned, the protection you received, the opportunities already available, the people who genuinely care about you. These things matter. These things are gifts. These things are evidence of my goodness. And when you begin appreciating what is already present, your heart becomes prepared for what is coming next. I also want to warn you about something. Do not allow disappointment from the past to blind you to opportunities in the present. Many people miss new blessings because old disappointments continue controlling their expectations. They assume every door will close because previous doors closed. They assume every opportunity will fail because previous opportunities failed. They assume every relationship will hurt them because previous relationships caused pain. But your future is not obligated to repeat your past. The story is still unfolding. The next chapter is not required to look like the previous one. I am doing new things. I am opening new possibilities. I am creating new opportunities. And I do not want old disappointments preventing you from recognizing them. Stay open. Stay hopeful. Stay expectant. Not because every situation will be perfect, but because I am still working. I am still guiding. I am still providing. I am still creating opportunities that align with the purpose I placed upon your life. The future is not empty. The future is prepared. And some of what I have prepared is already moving toward you. My child, pay attention to the ordinary moments. Pay attention to the quiet opportunities. Pay attention to the gentle nudges within your spirit, because I often speak softly before I move powerfully. I often begin small before I reveal something great. I often use ordinary circumstances to create extraordinary outcomes. Trust me in the small things. Trust me in the simple things. Trust me in the ordinary things. Because the same God who performs miracles also works through everyday moments. If this message speaks to your heart, write, "Lord, open my eyes," in the comments. Declare it with expectation. And stay close. Because in the next part, I will reveal why some people remain trapped in cycles of frustration, while others step into the peace and confidence I have always intended for them. Today, I want to speak to you about something your heart has been searching for, even if you have not always known how to describe it. You have searched for answers. You have searched for security. You have searched for stability. You have searched for certainty. But beneath all those desires is something deeper. You have been searching for peace, not temporary relief, not momentary comfort, not a distraction from your problems. Real peace. The kind of peace that remains when circumstances are uncertain. The kind of peace that remains when answers have not yet arrived. The kind of peace that remains when life does not unfold according to your plans. That peace comes from me. The world offers substitutes. The world offers distractions. The world offers temporary escapes. The world offers endless promises that never fully satisfy. Yet none of those things can provide the peace your soul was created to experience, because true peace is not found in perfect circumstances. True peace is found in my presence. Many people believe they will finally have peace once every problem disappears. They tell themselves they will rest after the breakthrough. They tell themselves they will be content after the promotion. They tell themselves they will be calm after the answer arrives. But peace that depends entirely upon circumstances will always remain fragile, because circumstances constantly change. Today one challenge disappears, tomorrow another appears. Today one prayer is answered, tomorrow another need emerges. That is why I want your peace rooted in something stronger than circumstances. I want your peace rooted in me, because I do not change. My faithfulness does not change. My promises do not change. My love does not change. And when your peace is anchored in me, life's storms lose the power to control your emotions. I know there are things weighing heavily upon your mind, decisions you must make, responsibilities you must carry, concerns about the future, questions that still lack answers. I know all of them. Nothing about your situation surprises me. Nothing catches me off guard. Nothing exceeds my ability to help you. Yet many times you carry burdens I never asked you to carry. You carry tomorrow's worries today. You carry other people's opinions. You carry fears about events that have not even happened. You carry pressure that I never placed upon your shoulders. And slowly, those burdens begin stealing your peace. But I'm calling you to release them, not because those concerns are unimportant, but because you were never meant to carry them alone. Bring them to me. Every concern, every fear, every uncertainty, every question, bring them all. You do not need to clean them up before bringing them. You do not need perfect faith before bringing them. You do not need perfect understanding before bringing them. Just bring them. I am not intimidated by your questions. I am not frustrated by your struggles. I am not disappointed by your weakness. I am your Father, and I care about what concerns you. There have been times when anxiety convinced you that everything depended upon your ability to control the outcome. Anxiety told you that if you worried enough, you could somehow prevent disappointment. Anxiety told you that constant stress would somehow prepare you for future challenges. But anxiety is a poor counselor. Worry has never added peace to a person's life. Worry has never solved tomorrow's problems. Worry has never created wisdom. Worry simply drains strength needed for today. That is why I keep inviting you to trust me, not because trust removes every challenge immediately, but because trust allows you to face challenges without carrying unnecessary fear. Trust creates room for peace. Trust creates room for wisdom. Trust creates room for clarity. When fear dominates your thinking, everything feels urgent. Everything feels overwhelming. Everything feels impossible. But when peace governs your heart, perspective returns. You begin seeing situations more clearly. You begin hearing my guidance more clearly. You begin recognizing opportunities more clearly. Peace is not weakness. Peace is strength under control. Peace is confidence in my faithfulness. Peace is the ability to remain steady while everything around you feels uncertain. And that is the kind of peace I want to develop within you. Some of you have become so accustomed to living under pressure that peace feels unfamiliar. You have lived with stress for so long that rest feels uncomfortable. You have carried burdens for so long that releasing them feels unnatural. But that was never my intention. I did not create you to live constantly exhausted. I did not create you to spend every day consumed by fear. I did not create you to remain trapped in endless cycles of worry. I created you for relationship with me, and relationship with me produces peace. Not because life becomes perfect, because my presence becomes greater than the problems. The enemy wants your focus fixed entirely on what could go wrong. I want your focus fixed on who is walking beside you. The enemy wants you calculating every possible disaster. I want you remembering every previous victory. The enemy wants you imagining defeat. I want you expecting my faithfulness. That choice matters, because what you consistently focus on shapes what you consistently experience. Focus on fear long enough and fear grows. Focus on worry long enough and worry multiplies. Focus on problems long enough and problems appear larger than they truly are. But focus on my faithfulness and confidence begins to rise. Focus on my promises and hope begins to grow. Focus on my presence and peace begins to return. There are things I am already handling that you do not even know about. There are obstacles I am already removing. There are answers I am already arranging. There are opportunities I am already preparing. You do not have to understand every detail. You only need to trust the one who does. That is what peace looks like. Peace is not knowing everything. Peace is knowing me. Peace is not having every answer. Peace is trusting my wisdom. Peace is not controlling every outcome. Peace is believing. My hands are already at work. My child, I want you to breathe deeply and receive this truth today. You do not have to carry everything. You do not have to solve everything. You do not have to understand everything. You only need to remain close to me. And I will guide you. I will strengthen you. I will provide for you. I will help you. I always have. And I always will. If this message speaks to your heart today, write, I receive God's peace in the comments. Declare it with faith. And stay until the end of this series, because what I am revealing is not only encouragement, it is guidance that can transform how you walk through every season of your life. In the next part, I will reveal why the breakthrough you have been waiting for may be much closer than you realize. There is something I need you to hear today with all your heart. You are not as far away from your breakthrough as you believe. You are not as far away from your answer as your emotions suggest. You are not as far away from your next season as circumstances may appear to indicate. Many times, the greatest mistake people make is assuming that because they cannot see movement, nothing is happening. But I want you to remember something. The greatest movements often happen before they become visible. A seed begins growing long before it breaks through the soil. The dawn begins forming long before the sun appears above the horizon. A child develops for months before entering the world. Preparation almost always comes before manifestation. And that is exactly what has been happening in your life. You have been judging progress by visible evidence. I have been working in invisible places. You have been looking at the surface. I have been working beneath the surface. You have been measuring time. I have been preparing outcomes. There are things moving right now that you cannot yet see. Conversations taking place. Doors being positioned. Circumstances being aligned. Opportunities being prepared. People being placed where they need to be. Paths being cleared. Obstacles being removed. I am always working, even when you cannot see it. Even when you cannot feel it. Even when circumstances suggest otherwise. There were moments in your life when answers arrived suddenly. At least they appeared sudden to you. But what seemed sudden was actually the result of preparation that had been happening for a long time. The answer became visible in a moment. The preparation happened over time. That is how many breakthroughs occur. People celebrate the visible moment. They rarely see the invisible preparation that preceded it. Do not assume that because you cannot see progress, progress is absent. Progress is often hidden before it becomes obvious. I know waiting has stretched your patience. I know uncertainty has tested your faith. I know there have been moments when discouragement whispered that nothing would ever change. But discouragement does not tell the truth. Discouragement interprets circumstances through the lens of fear. I interpret circumstances through the lens of purpose. And purpose sees farther than fear. There are things you prayed for months ago that are still moving toward you. There are prayers you almost forgot about that I have not forgotten. There are promises you stopped thinking about that I am still working on. I do not forget what I have spoken. I do not abandon what I begin. I do not lose track of my children. When I make a promise, I remain committed to it. When I start a work, I continue it. When I call someone forward, I do not leave them halfway through the journey. That includes you. You have not been abandoned in the middle of your story. You have not been forgotten in the middle of your process. You have not been overlooked in the middle of your preparation. I know the temptation to quit becomes strongest right before breakthrough. I know the temptation to lower your expectations becomes strongest right before change. I know the temptation to settle becomes strongest right before doors begin opening. That is why I am speaking to you now, because I do not want you to surrender in the final stretch. I do not want you to stop believing when the answer is closer than you realize. I do not want you to walk away from what I am preparing, because the waiting has felt longer than expected. Keep standing, keep trusting, keep believing, keep moving forward. Not because everything is easy, but because I am faithful. Think about how many times I have already carried you. Think about how many times I have already provided for you. Think about how many times I have already protected you. Think about how many times I have already guided you. Those previous victories are evidence. Evidence that I have not failed you. Evidence that I am still with you. Evidence that I will continue being faithful. You are stronger than you think. You have survived more than you realize. You have overcome battles that once seemed impossible. And because I carried you through those seasons, I will carry you through this one too. The future is not approaching empty-handed. The future contains opportunities. The future contains growth. The future contains provision. The future contains purpose. The future contains blessings that are already being prepared. I want you to stop speaking as though your story is ending. Your story is not ending. A chapter may be ending. A season may be ending. A struggle may be ending. But the story itself is still unfolding, and some of the most beautiful pages remain ahead. Do not allow temporary difficulties to convince you that permanent defeat is your destiny. Defeat is not your destiny. Hopelessness is not your destiny. Fear is not your destiny. Purpose is your destiny. Growth is your destiny. Victory is your destiny. Because I am walking with you, there will be moments very soon when things begin making more sense. Moments when pieces begin connecting. Moments when prayers begin receiving visible answers. Moments when opportunities appear. Moments when doors open. Moments when you realize I was working the entire time. And when those moments come, you will understand why I kept asking you to trust me. You will understand why patience mattered. You will understand why preparation mattered. You will understand why the waiting was not wasted. My child, do not measure your future by what you see today. Measure your future by who is leading you. I am leading you. I am guiding you. I am preparing the way before you. And because of that, you can move forward with confidence. You can move forward with hope. You can move forward with expectation, because the breakthrough is closer than it appears. The answer is closer than it feels. The new season is closer than you think. If you believe God is working behind the scenes right now, write, "My breakthrough is coming" in the comments. Declare it with faith. If these words bring comfort to your soul, take a moment to like this message, subscribe, and share it with someone who may be silently needing encouragement today. And if you feel happiness, peace, and hope through these words, and want to help this ministry continue reaching more hearts, you can support this work through the link given below. The truths ahead can help strengthen your faith, renew your perspective, and prepare your heart for what I am about to do next. There are moments in life when circumstances seem to gather against you all at once. Moments when the challenges appear larger than your strength. Moments when the obstacles seem greater than your resources. Moments when every visible sign appears to say the same thing: impossible. I know those moments. I know you have experienced them. I know there have been seasons when you looked around and could not see a way forward. You searched for answers. You searched for solutions. You searched for opportunities. Yet every direction appeared blocked. Every path appeared closed. Every possibility appeared distant. And in those moments, fear tried to convince you that the story was over. Fear told you there was no way through. Fear told you the situation could never change. Fear told you that what was lost would never be restored. But fear was wrong. Fear has always been wrong when it attempts to place limits on what I can do. The word impossible exists only within human understanding. It does not exist within my power. There is nothing impossible for me. Nothing beyond my reach. Nothing beyond my authority. Nothing beyond my ability to restore. Many of the greatest miracles recorded throughout history began in situations that appeared completely hopeless. Not difficult. Hopeless. Abraham looked at his age and believed the promise was impossible. Moses stood before the sea and believed escape was impossible. David stood before a giant, and others believed victory was impossible. The disciples looked at a storm and believed survival was impossible. Yet every one of those situations became an opportunity for my power to be revealed. Because impossibility is often the stage where my faithfulness becomes most visible. If everything could be accomplished through human strength alone, people would never learn to trust me. If every answer arrived through human effort alone, people would never discover my provision. If every door opened through human ability alone, people would never recognize my hand. That is why some of your greatest breakthroughs will arrive after human solutions reach their limits. Not because I enjoy watching you struggle, because I want you to see clearly where the answer came from. I want you to understand who carried you. I want you to recognize who made a way. I know there are areas of your life right now that seem impossible, situations that feel beyond repair, dreams that appear too distant, prayers that seem unanswered, questions that remain unresolved. I see them all, and I am not intimidated by any of them. The challenge that feels overwhelming to you is not overwhelming to me. The obstacle that seems immovable to you is not immovable to me. The door that appears permanently closed to you is not permanently closed to me. I operate beyond limitations. I operate beyond circumstances. I operate beyond what human understanding considers reasonable. That does not mean I always move according to your preferred timeline. It does not mean I always answer exactly how you expect, but it does mean that impossibility never has the final word. I do. And my word is greater than your circumstances. My word is greater than your fears. My word is greater than your doubts. My word is greater than every obstacle standing before you. There are times when I allow situations to reach a point where human strength alone cannot solve them. Not to embarrass you, not to punish you, but to teach you dependence. Dependence is not weakness. Dependence upon me is strength. Because when you rely entirely upon yourself, you are limited by your own abilities. But when you rely upon me, you connect yourself to resources beyond your own strength. That changes everything. I know some of you have been carrying situations that seem impossible for a very long time. Months, years, perhaps even decades. And because the waiting has lasted so long, part of you has begun expecting disappointment. Part of you has stopped hoping. Part of you has lowered expectations to protect yourself from further pain. But I am calling you back to faith, not blind optimism, not denial. Faith. Faith that remembers who I am. Faith that remembers my record. Faith that remembers my faithfulness. Faith that refuses to allow present circumstances to rewrite eternal truth. There is a difference between accepting reality and surrendering to hopelessness. You can acknowledge difficulties while still trusting me. You can recognize challenges while still expecting my help. You can face uncertainty while still believing in my promises. That is real faith. And that is the faith I am developing within you. The enemy wants you to interpret every delay as defeat. I want you to interpret every delay as preparation. The enemy wants you to see every obstacle as a dead end. I want you to see every obstacle as an opportunity for me to work. The enemy wants you to focus entirely on what you lack. I want you to focus on what I provide. Perspective matters. What you consistently focus on shapes how you experience life. That is why I keep calling your attention back to me, back to my promises, back to my faithfulness, back to my presence. Because peace grows where trust grows, hope grows where faith grows, strength grows where dependence upon me grows, and all of those things are growing inside you right now. Even if you do not fully recognize it yet, you are stronger than you were, wiser than you were, more mature than you were, more discerning than you were. The process has changed you. The waiting has changed you. The challenges have changed you. And those changes are preparing you for what comes next. My child, I need you to hear this clearly. Do not call impossible what I have not called impossible. Do not bury hope simply because circumstances look difficult. Do not abandon faith simply because answers seem delayed. Keep believing, keep trusting, keep standing, because I am still working, and I have not reached the end of your story. If this message speaks to your heart today, write, "Nothing is impossible with God," in the comments. Declare it boldly. Let it become your reminder whenever fear tries to convince you otherwise. And stay close. Today, I want to reveal something that has the power to change the direction of your life if you truly understand it. Many people spend years praying for change while unknowingly agreeing with the very things that are holding them back. They ask me for peace, but continually agree with fear. They ask me for provision, but continually agree with lack. They ask me for breakthrough, but continually agree with defeat. They ask me for healing, but continually agree with hopelessness. And because of that, they create conflict within their own hearts. I want to teach you the power of agreement, because agreement shapes direction. Agreement shapes expectation. Agreement shapes perspective. And perspective influences everything. Every day you are agreeing with something. You are agreeing with faith or fear. You are agreeing with hope or discouragement. You are agreeing with possibility or limitation. You are agreeing with my promises or with your doubts. The question is not whether agreement exists. The question is what you are agreeing with. Many people do not realize how powerful their words become. They speak defeat over themselves. They speak failure over their future. They speak hopelessness over situations that are still unfolding. Then they wonder why faith feels weak. Your words matter. Not because words possess magic, but because words reveal agreement. What comes out of your mouth often reveals what is settled inside your heart. That is why I want your heart filled with truth. Not fear, not anxiety, not defeat, truth. When circumstances become difficult, pay attention to what you say. Do your words align with fear, or do they align with faith? Do your words magnify the problem, or do they magnify my faithfulness? This matters more than you realize, because your spirit listens to your own voice. Your mind listens to your own voice. Your heart responds to your own voice. That is why repeated declarations can either strengthen faith or strengthen fear. Some of you have been speaking negatively about yourselves for years. You call yourself weak. You call yourself incapable. You call yourself unworthy. You call yourself broken. You call yourself forgotten. Yet those are not the names I call you. I call you loved. I call you chosen. I call you valuable. I call you purposeful. I call you redeemed. I call you mine. Why continue agreeing with labels I never gave you? Why continue repeating lies that I never spoke? I want you to begin seeing yourself through my eyes, not through the eyes of your failures, not through the eyes of your fears, not through the opinions of people who never fully understood your value, through my eyes, because my perspective is truth. I see potential where others see limitations. I see growth where others see weakness. I see purpose where others see confusion. I see destiny where others see setbacks. And I see those things in you. There were times when people underestimated you, times when others doubted you, times when people failed to recognize what I placed inside you. Do not allow their limitations to become your identity. Do not allow their opinions to define your future. People often judge by appearances. I judge by purpose. People judge by current circumstances. I judge by eternal potential. People focus on where you are. I focus on where I am leading you. And where I am leading you is greater than where you have been. That is why agreement with my truth is so important. When you agree with my truth, courage begins growing. When you agree with my truth, hope begins rising. When you agree with my truth, peace begins returning. When you agree with my truth, faith becomes stronger. Not because circumstances immediately change, but because your perspective changes, and perspective changes everything. The enemy understands this principle. That is why he constantly tries to influence your thinking. He wants agreement. He wants you agreeing with fear. He wants you agreeing with hopelessness. He wants you agreeing with discouragement. Because once agreement is established, progress becomes more difficult. But you have the authority to reject those agreements. You do not have to believe every fearful thought. You do not have to accept every discouraging prediction. You do not have to embrace every negative expectation. You can choose differently. You can agree with my promises. You can agree with my faithfulness. You can agree with my love. You can agree with my plans. You can agree with the future I am preparing. That choice belongs to you. Every day, every moment, every situation. Choose agreement with truth. There will still be challenges. There will still be questions. There will still be seasons requiring patience. But those seasons become easier when faith guides your perspective. Because faith reminds you that present circumstances are not permanent conclusions. Faith reminds you that I am still working. Faith reminds you that the story is still unfolding. Faith reminds you that my promises remain unchanged. And that reminder is powerful. I know some of you are standing in situations where visible evidence appears limited. You look around and wonder how things will improve. You wonder when answers will arrive. You wonder whether change is truly possible. Hear me carefully. Do not build your expectations upon visible evidence alone. Build them upon my character. My character has never failed. My faithfulness has never failed. My promises have never failed. And they will not fail now. My child, from this day forward, I want you to become intentional about your agreement. When fear speaks, answer with truth. When doubt speaks, answer with faith. When discouragement speaks, answer with hope. When uncertainty speaks, answer with trust. Not because you are pretending difficulties do not exist, because you know difficulties are not greater than me. The future ahead of you is not being built by fear. It is being guided by my hand. And my hand is trustworthy. If this message speaks to your heart today, write, I agree with God's promises in the comments. Declare it boldly. Let it become your decision moving forward. There is something I need you to understand about the painful seasons you have walked through. Many times you looked at those seasons and saw only loss. You saw disappointment. You saw heartbreak. You saw delay. You saw confusion. You saw prayers that seemed unanswered, and because the pain was real, you assumed the purpose was absent. But I want you to hear me clearly today. Your pain was real. But your pain was never pointless. There is a difference. Some of the greatest transformations in your life were born in seasons you never would have chosen. Some of the greatest lessons you learned came from experiences you prayed would end. Some of the deepest strength inside you developed during moments when you felt weak. I know there were nights when you cried and nobody knew. I know there were mornings when you forced yourself to keep going, even when your heart felt exhausted. I know there were days when you questioned whether things would ever improve. I know all of it. I was there through every moment, not watching from a distance, walking beside you, holding you together when you felt like falling apart, strengthening you when you did not even realize strength was being given. There were things I needed to build inside you: patience, wisdom, discernment, compassion, endurance, humility, trust. These qualities rarely grow during easy seasons. They often grow during difficult ones. That does not mean I enjoy your pain. It means I know how to use it. The enemy wanted your pain to make you bitter. I wanted your pain to make you wiser. The enemy wanted your pain to make you quit. I wanted your pain to make you stronger. The enemy wanted your pain to destroy your faith. I wanted your pain to deepen your dependence upon me. And look at where you are today. You survived. You kept moving. You kept believing. You kept getting up. Not perfectly, not without struggle, but you kept going. That matters. More than you realize. Many people underestimate the power of simply refusing to quit. They underestimate the strength required to keep trusting after disappointment. They underestimate the courage required to keep hoping after heartbreak. They underestimate the faith required to keep walking when the path ahead remains unclear. But I see it, and I honor it. Nothing you endured has been overlooked. Not one prayer, not one tear, not one act of faith, not one moment when you chose trust instead of surrender. I saw it all, and I am using it all. Think about gold. Before it shines with beauty, it passes through fire. The fire does not destroy the gold. The fire removes what does not belong. The fire reveals what was valuable all along, in many ways. That is what has been happening in your life. The difficult seasons exposed things that needed healing. The challenges revealed areas that needed strengthening. The waiting revealed places where trust needed to grow. The process refined you, and while refinement is rarely comfortable, it is often necessary. There were beliefs you carried that needed changing. There were fears that needed confronting. There were limitations that needed breaking. There were old versions of yourself that could not go where I was leading you. And because I love you, I refuse to leave you unchanged. Transformation requires process. Growth requires process. Maturity requires process. And process requires time. That is why I keep asking you to trust me. Because I can see the complete picture. You can only see the current chapter. You see today's challenge. I see tomorrow's victory. You see today's struggle. I see tomorrow's testimony. You see today's uncertainty. I see tomorrow's breakthrough. And because I see farther than you do, I ask you to trust my guidance. One day you will look back and recognize that some of your greatest blessings came disguised as difficult seasons. One day you will see how challenges develop strength. One day you will understand how delays created preparation. One day you will recognize how losses created room for better things. One day you will see my hand in places where you once thought I was absent. Until then, keep trusting, keep believing, keep moving forward. Because what I started in your life is not finished. The process is still unfolding. The story is still being written. The purpose is still developing. And the best chapters are still ahead. I also want you to stop comparing your journey to someone else's. Comparison blinds people to their own progress. Comparison convinces people they are behind when they are actually growing. Comparison steals gratitude. Comparison steals joy. Comparison steals peace. Your story is different. Your calling is different. Your preparation is different. What I am doing in your life does not need to look exactly like what I am doing in someone else's life. Trust your journey. Trust my timing. Trust my process, because I know exactly what I am doing, and I know exactly where I am leading you. My child, there are things inside you today that did not exist before these difficult seasons. Strength that did not exist. Wisdom that did not exist. Discernment that did not exist. Compassion that did not exist. Faith that did not exist. Those things matter. Those things will help carry you into the future. Those things are evidence that the process has been working. So stop calling yourself broken. Stop calling yourself defeated. Stop calling yourself forgotten. You are being refined. You are being strengthened. You are being prepared. And preparation always precedes promotion. If this message speaks to your heart today, write, "God is using my story," in the comments. Declare it with faith, and remember this truth throughout the day: nothing you have endured has been wasted. Nothing has been forgotten. Nothing has escaped my attention. There is something I want to speak into your heart today. Something many people misunderstand when they walk through seasons of disappointment. Many people believe that when a door closes, the story ends. Many people assume that when an opportunity disappears, hope disappears with it. Many people conclude that because something did not happen the way they expected, it will never happen at all. But I want you to listen carefully. A closed door is not always a final answer. Sometimes it is simply a redirection. Sometimes it is preparation. Sometimes it is protection. And sometimes it is my way of leading you towards something greater than what you originally imagined. I know there are doors in your life that you still think about. Doors you wanted desperately to walk through. Doors you prayed over. Doors you planned around. Doors that seemed perfect from your perspective. When those doors closed, part of your heart closed with them. You tried to move on. You tried to accept it. You tried to convince yourself it no longer mattered. But every now and then, the memory returns. The question returns. The wondering returns. What would have happened if that door had opened? I understand those questions. I understand those feelings. But I need you to understand something important. You were never meant to build your future around a single opportunity. Your future is built around my purpose. And my purpose is greater than any one door, greater than any one opportunity, greater than any one season, greater than any one disappointment. What I have planned for your life cannot be destroyed by one closed door. It cannot be canceled by one setback. It cannot be erased by one failure. My plans are stronger than your disappointments. My purpose is stronger than your delays. My calling is stronger than your mistakes. Nothing has the power to cancel what I have determined to accomplish in your life, except your decision to stop walking with me. And I know you have not stopped. You are still here. You are still seeking. You are still listening. You are still believing. That matters. There were doors I closed because they would have distracted you from your assignment. There were doors I closed because they looked good, but were not truly best. There were doors I closed because they carried hidden burdens you could not see. There were doors I closed because accepting them would have caused you to miss something greater later. You judged those doors by appearance. I judged them by outcome. You saw immediate opportunity. I saw future consequences. You saw what was visible. I saw what was hidden. And because I love you, I protected you, even when protection felt like disappointment, even when protection felt like loss, even when protection felt like silence. I protected you. There is another truth I need you to hear. Not every closed door remains closed forever. Some doors close for a season, not permanently, because timing matters. A blessing received too early can become a burden. A responsibility received too soon can create pressure instead of purpose. An opportunity received before preparation is complete can become destructive rather than beneficial. That is why timing matters so much. You often ask whether you are ready. I ask whether the entire picture is ready. Because what I am preparing involves more than you. It involves people, circumstances, connections, resources, timing, purpose. Everything must align properly. And when it does, what seemed impossible suddenly becomes possible. What seemed distant suddenly becomes available. What seemed closed suddenly opens. I want you to stop assuming that every delay means denial. It does not. Many times a delay simply means preparation is still happening. Preparation within you. Preparation around you. Preparation beyond you. There are things moving right now that you cannot yet see. Conversations occurring, relationships forming, circumstances shifting, opportunities developing, paths being prepared. I am working in places your eyes cannot reach, and one day what has been hidden will become visible. One day what has been developing will appear. One day what has been preparing will arrive. And when it does, you will understand why I asked you to trust me. You will understand why I asked you to wait. You will understand why I asked you to remain faithful. Because what I am preparing is worth the process. There are people who walked away too soon. People who stopped believing one step before the breakthrough. People who abandoned hope just before the answer appeared. I do not want that to be your story. I want you to remain steady. Remain hopeful. Remain expectant. Remain faithful. Because you are closer than you realize. The enemy wants you focused on what did not happen. I want you focused on what is still possible. The enemy wants you grieving opportunities that passed. I want you preparing for opportunities that are coming. The enemy wants you staring at yesterday. I want you stepping into tomorrow. Your future is not behind you. Your future is ahead of you, and it is filled with possibilities that you cannot yet fully imagine. There is a reason I keep asking you to trust me, because I know what is coming. I know the doors that are forming. I know the opportunities being prepared. I know the people who will enter your life at the right time. I know the blessings that are moving toward you. I know the prayers that are closer to being answered than you realize. And because I know these things, I can confidently tell you this. Do not give up now. Do not stop believing now. Do not lower your expectations now. The story is still unfolding. The preparation is still happening. The future is still being shaped. And my hand is still guiding every step. My child, there are doors ahead that no person can close. There are opportunities ahead that no obstacle can stop. There are blessings ahead that no disappointment can cancel. Because what comes from me cannot be undone by circumstances. Trust that. Hold on to that. Walk forward with that confidence. If this message speaks to your heart today, write, God is opening the right door. In the comments, declare it with faith and stay with me. If these words bring comfort to your soul, take a moment to like this message, subscribe, and share it with someone who may be silently needing encouragement today. And if you feel happiness, peace, and hope through these words, and want to help this ministry continue reaching more hearts, you can support this work through the link given below. Today, I want to speak to you about restoration. Not the kind of restoration the world talks about, not merely getting back what was taken, not merely returning to where things once were. I am speaking about the kind of restoration only I can bring, the kind that transforms loss into testimony, the kind that transforms pain into purpose, the kind that transforms brokenness into strength. There are things in your life you still mourn, dreams that never unfolded the way you expected, relationships that changed, opportunities that disappeared, years that seem lost, moments you wish you could relive, choices you wish you could undo. I know about every one of them. I know the memories attached to them. I know the emotions attached to them. I know the questions attached to them. And I know there have been times when you wondered whether those losses would always remain losses. But I want you to hear me carefully. What appears lost to you is not necessarily lost to me, Because I am not limited by time. I am not limited by circumstances. I am not limited by what human understanding considers impossible. I am the God of restoration. That is not merely something I do. It is part of who I am. I restore. I rebuild. I renew. I redeem. I bring life to places people thought were finished. There are things you buried emotionally because you believed they could never live again. You buried hopes. You buried expectations. You buried desires. You buried possibilities. Not because you wanted to. Because disappointment convinced you there was no reason to keep believing. But disappointment is not the final authority over your future. I am. And my authority is greater. There was a man named Job. He knew what loss felt like. He knew what heartbreak felt like. He knew what confusion felt like. He knew what it was like to watch things fall apart. He experienced pain most people cannot imagine. And there were moments when he did not understand what was happening. Moments when answers seemed absent. Moments when the future seemed uncertain. Yet his story did not end in loss. His story ended in restoration. Not because the pain was imaginary. Not because the losses were insignificant. But because I was not finished writing his story. And I am not finished writing yours. Some of you have allowed a painful chapter to become the definition of your entire life. You have allowed one season to determine your expectations for every season that followed. You have assumed that because something happened once, it will happen again. You have assumed that because one dream failed, every dream will fail. You have assumed that because one relationship hurt you, every relationship will hurt you. You have assumed that because one opportunity disappeared, every opportunity will disappear. But your future is not obligated to repeat your past. I need you to understand that. The future I am preparing is not a copy of previous disappointments. It is something new, something fresh, something different, something designed specifically for the season ahead. The enemy wants you focused on what you lost. I want you focused on what remains. The enemy wants you counting disappointments. I want you counting blessings. The enemy wants you rehearsing pain. I want you remembering my faithfulness. Because where your focus goes, your expectation follows. And expectation matters. People who expect nothing often recognize nothing. People who expect my goodness begin noticing my goodness. People who expect my faithfulness begin recognizing my faithfulness. Expectation opens your eyes. That does not mean pretending life is perfect. It means remaining open to the possibility that I am still working. And I am. Right now. In ways you can see, and in ways you cannot. There are pieces of your story that are still coming together. Pieces that seem disconnected today. Pieces that seem confusing today. Pieces that seem unfinished today. But I see the complete picture. I see how everything connects. I see how every lesson contributes to growth. I see how every challenge contributes to strength. I see how every season contributes to purpose. And one day, you will see it too. You will look back and recognize that I was working in places where you thought nothing was happening. You will look back and recognize that I was building something greater than what you originally requested. You will look back and understand why certain things had to unfold the way they did. That day is coming. Until then, trust me. Trust my wisdom. Trust my timing. Trust my heart. Because my heart toward you has always been good. Always. Even when circumstances felt confusing. Even when answers felt delayed. Even when hope felt difficult. My intentions toward you never changed. There are people listening right now who believe they have wasted years. Years they wish they could reclaim. Years they wish they could relive. Years they wish had unfolded differently. I want to speak directly to that pain. The years were not wasted. You may not yet understand how they will be redeemed. You may not yet understand how they will fit into the larger story. But they were not wasted. I can restore what seems impossible to restore. I can redeem what seems impossible to redeem. I can use experiences you would never have chosen and turn them into sources of wisdom, compassion, strength, and purpose. That is what I do. That is who I am. My child, stop measuring your future by your losses. Measure it by my faithfulness. Stop measuring tomorrow by yesterday's disappointments. Measure it by my promises. Stop assuming that because something ended, everything ended. The story is still unfolding. The journey is still continuing. The purpose is still alive. And restoration is already moving toward you. Perhaps not exactly the way you imagined. Perhaps not according to your original timeline. But according to my wisdom. According to my goodness. According to my perfect understanding of what your life truly needs. Do not lose hope now. Do not stop expecting now. Do not stop believing now. Because some of the things you thought were permanently gone are being redeemed in ways you cannot yet see. And when restoration arrives, it often exceeds expectations. Not because I give half measures, but because I delight in demonstrating my faithfulness. If this message speaks to your heart today, write, "God is restoring my life," in the comments. Declare it with faith. And stay until the end of this message series. The next part contains a truth about forgiveness, healing, and freedom that many people overlook, yet it has the power to unlock a new season of peace and breakthrough in your life. Today I want to speak to you about something many people avoid, not because it is unimportant, but because it reaches into some of the deepest places of the heart. I want to speak to you about forgiveness. I know there are wounds you still carry. I know there are memories that still hurt when they return. I know there are words spoken over your life that should never have been spoken. I know there are disappointments that came from people you trusted. I know there are betrayals you never expected. I know there are moments that changed you, moments that left scars, moments that left questions, moments that left pain. And I want you to understand something today. I see every wound. I see every tear. I see every disappointment. Nothing that happened to you escaped my attention. Nothing. The people around you may not fully understand what you experienced. They may not understand the weight you carried. They may not understand the damage certain moments caused. But I understand. I was there. I saw it. And I cared deeply about what happened to you. Sometimes when people hear the word forgiveness, they think it means pretending the pain never happened. They think it means excusing harmful behavior. They think it means allowing people to continue causing damage. But that is not what forgiveness means. Forgiveness is not denial. Forgiveness is not weakness. Forgiveness is not approval. Forgiveness is freedom. Forgiveness is releasing the burden of revenge. Forgiveness is releasing the right to carry the debt yourself. Forgiveness is placing justice into my hands instead of trying to carry it on your own shoulders. Because there are burdens you were never designed to carry. Bitterness is one of them. Resentment is one of them. Unforgiveness is one of them. Many people believe unforgiveness hurts the person who caused the pain. But most of the time it continues hurting the one carrying it. It consumes energy. It steals peace. It clouds perspective. It keeps old wounds alive. It ties your future to moments that should no longer control your life. And I want more for you than that. I want freedom, real freedom, the kind of freedom that allows your heart to breathe again, the kind of freedom that allows joy to return, the kind of freedom that allows peace to grow, the kind of freedom that allows healing to begin. Healing and forgiveness often walk together. Not because healing happens instantly, but because forgiveness removes barriers that prevent healing from moving forward. I know some wounds run deep. I know some betrayals changed the direction of your life. I know some hurts lasted much longer than they should have. And I am not minimizing any of it. What happened mattered. The pain mattered. The loss mattered. The hurt mattered. But your future matters too. And I do not want old wounds controlling new seasons. There are people listening right now who are still carrying words spoken years ago. Words of rejection, words of criticism, words of shame, Words that convinced you that you were not enough, not smart enough, not strong enough, not capable enough, not valuable enough. And even though those words were spoken long ago, they still echo inside your heart. Today, I want to replace those voices with mine. You are loved. You are chosen. You are valuable. You are seen. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are not disqualified. You are not defined by what happened to you. You are defined by who I say you are. That truth matters. Because healing begins when truth becomes stronger than the lie. The enemy wants your identity connected to your wounds. I want your identity connected to your purpose. The enemy wants you trapped in what happened. I want you moving toward what is ahead. The enemy wants you rehearsing old pain. I want you embracing new possibilities. That is why forgiveness is so powerful. It breaks chains. It releases burdens. It creates room for new growth. And growth is exactly what I am preparing in your life. I want you to think about a wound on the body. If it remains untreated, it becomes infected. The longer the infection remains, the more damage it creates. But when healing begins, restoration becomes possible. The same principle applies to the heart. Unhealed wounds often spread pain into areas where pain was never intended to exist. They affect relationships. They affect decisions. They affect expectations. They affect confidence. That is why I want to heal those places, not merely comfort them, heal them, restore them, renew them, because healed places become strong places. The enemy spent years trying to break you, and yet you are still here, still standing, still listening, still seeking me. That tells you something important. You are stronger than you think. You survived things that should have stopped you. You endured seasons that should have destroyed your hope. And through it all, I remained with you. I carried you. I strengthened you. I protected you. I healed parts of you that nobody else even knew were hurting. And I am not finished yet. There is still healing ahead. There is still restoration ahead. There is still freedom ahead. Do not believe the lie that you will always feel the way you feel today. You will not. Pain does not last forever. Wounds do not last forever. Dark seasons do not last forever. I am the God of renewal. I am the God of restoration. I am the God who makes all things new. My child, there are places in your heart where healing is already beginning. Places where peace is replacing anxiety. Places where wisdom is replacing confusion. Places where hope is replacing discouragement. Do not resist that process. Welcome it. Trust it. Walk with me through it, because what I am healing today will become part of your strength tomorrow. The wounds that once made you feel weak will eventually become evidence of my faithfulness. The places that once hurt the most will become places where my healing shines the brightest. If this message speaks to your heart today, write, "I choose forgiveness and freedom" in the comments. Declare it as an act of faith, and stay with me. Today I want to speak to the part of your heart that has grown quiet, the part that once dreamed boldly, the part that once believed freely, the part that once expected great things, the part that has been wounded by disappointment and stretched by waiting. I know that part of you. I know the dreams you stopped talking about. I know the prayers you no longer mention. I know the hopes you quietly placed on a shelf because believing became painful. I know the expectations you lowered to protect yourself from further disappointment. And today I need you to hear me carefully. The dream is not dead simply because it has been delayed. The promise is not canceled simply because it has taken longer than expected. The purpose is not gone simply because the path has been difficult. Many people confuse delay with denial. Many people confuse silence with absence. Many people confuse waiting with failure. But those things are not the same. There were seasons when you expected everything to happen quickly. You expected answers to arrive immediately. You expected doors to open easily. You expected progress to be obvious. But growth rarely happens that way. Purpose rarely unfolds that way. The most valuable things often take time. A tree takes time. Wisdom takes time. Character takes time. Faith takes time. And many of the things I am preparing in your life require deeper roots than you currently realize. That is why the process has lasted longer than you expected. Not because I forgot. Not because I changed my mind. Not because your prayers were ignored. Because preparation was still taking place. There are dreams inside you that came from me. Not every desire originates from me, but some do. Some dreams were planted by my hand. Some desires were placed within your spirit by my design. Some callings were written into your story before you ever took your first breath. Those things matter. And what comes from me does not disappear simply because circumstances become difficult. Think about Joseph. I gave him a dream long before he saw its fulfillment. Years passed. Difficult years, confusing years, painful years. There were moments when his circumstances appeared completely opposite to the promise. The dream said leadership. The circumstances said imprisonment. The dream said influence. The circumstances said isolation. The dream said purpose. The circumstances said delay. Yet the dream remained alive, not because Joseph understood everything, but because I remained faithful. And I am just as faithful today. Some of you have allowed present circumstances to convince you that the future no longer exists. You have looked at your age, your resources, your mistakes, your disappointments, your limitations, and you have concluded that the opportunity has passed. But who told you that? Certainly not me. I am not limited by age. I am not limited by timing. I am not limited by resources. I am not limited by circumstances. I am not limited by your previous failures. The same God who opens doors can open new ones. The same God who restores can restore again. The same God who creates opportunities can create new opportunities. Nothing about your situation has reduced my ability to work. Nothing. I know there have been moments when hope felt dangerous, moments when expecting something good felt risky, moments when disappointment had happened so many times that protecting yourself seemed easier than believing again. I understand that. But I did not create you to live without hope. Hope is essential. Hope keeps you moving. Hope keeps you believing. Hope keeps your eyes open to possibility. Hope keeps your heart available for what I am doing. The enemy works hard to destroy hope because hopeless people stop expecting. And people who stop expecting often stop noticing what I am doing. That is why I am calling you back to hope today. Not unrealistic optimism. Not pretending life is perfect. Hope. Real hope. Hope rooted in my character. Hope rooted in my promises. Hope rooted in my faithfulness. Hope rooted in the truth that I am still working even when you cannot see it. There are things developing right now that you know nothing about. Conversations happening, opportunities forming, connections being established, doors being prepared, answers moving closer. I am working in places beyond your awareness, and one day what is hidden will become visible. One day what is developing will emerge. One day what is being prepared will arrive, and when it does, you will realize that waiting did not mean abandonment. Waiting meant preparation. I want you to stop speaking about your future as though it is already decided by your past. Your past does not control your future. I do. Your previous disappointments do not determine your destiny. I do. Your mistakes do not write the final chapter. I do. And I am still writing. The story is not over. The journey is not finished. The purpose is not complete. There are still chapters ahead. There are still blessings ahead. There are still opportunities ahead. There are still moments ahead that will remind you why I asked you to keep trusting. I know some dreams will look different than you originally imagined. Sometimes I improve what people expected. Sometimes I redirect them towards something greater. Sometimes I answer differently than they planned. But different does not mean worse. Different often means better. Trust me enough to allow me to surprise you. Trust me enough to believe that my plans are larger than your expectations. Trust me enough to release the need to control every detail, because I know where I am leading you, and where I am leading you is good. My child, I want you to begin expecting again, carefully, wisely, faithfully, not because circumstances demand it, because I am worthy of it. I have carried you this far. I will carry you further. I have guided you this far. I will guide you further. I have been faithful this far. I will remain faithful. The dream is not dead. The promise is not forgotten. The purpose is not canceled. And your future is not finished. If this message speaks to your heart today, write, "I choose to hope again" in the comments. Declare it with faith and stay with me. Today, I want to help you recognize something important. Many people pray for signs that I am working. Many people ask for evidence that I have heard their prayers. Many people look for dramatic proof that change is coming. Yet while they search for the dramatic, they often overlook the evidence already surrounding them. I am moving in your life more often than you realize. I am speaking more often than you recognize. I am guiding more often than you understand. And today I want to open your eyes to some of the signs that I am already at work. The first sign is this: you are not the same person you used to be. I want you to think about that carefully. The struggles that once completely overwhelmed you no longer have the same power. The fears that once controlled your decisions no longer control them in the same way. The challenges that once seemed impossible now appear different. Why? Because I have been changing you. Growth is one of the clearest signs of my activity. People often pray for changed circumstances while overlooking the fact that I am changing them first. And sometimes the transformation within you is the greatest miracle taking place. You are wiser, stronger, more discerning, more patient, more dependent upon me. Those changes did not happen accidentally. They happened because I have been working. The second sign is this: certain things no longer satisfy you the way they once did. There are habits you have outgrown, conversations you no longer enjoy, mindsets that no longer fit, places where you feel uncomfortable remaining. That is not random. That is evidence of growth. When I begin preparing someone for a new season, I often create dissatisfaction with things that belong to the old season, not because those things were always wrong, because they are no longer where I am leading you. Pay attention to that. Some of the discomfort you feel is not punishment. It is preparation. The third sign is this: you have survived things that should have broken you. Think about that honestly. There were moments when you thought you would never recover, moments when you believed the pain would never end, moments when the burden felt too heavy. Yet here you are, still standing, still moving, still believing, still seeking me. How did that happen? Because I carried you. Because I strengthened you. Because my grace sustained you when your own strength was not enough. Your survival is evidence of my presence. Never forget that. The fourth sign is this: you continue feeling drawn toward me. Even after disappointments, even after delays, even after unanswered questions, something inside you still wants my presence. Something inside you still wants truth. Something inside you still wants purpose. That desire itself is evidence that I am working, because I have not stopped calling you closer, and your heart continues responding. That matters. The fifth sign is this: doors that once seemed impossible are beginning to appear differently. Perhaps not fully open, perhaps not completely clear, but possibilities are beginning to emerge. Ideas are beginning to form. Conversations are beginning to happen. Perspective is beginning to shift. These things matter. Do not dismiss small changes. Many breakthroughs begin as small shifts. Small changes in thinking, small changes in attitude, small changes in direction. Then suddenly, what seemed impossible becomes reality. I want you to stop measuring my activity only by dramatic events. Measure it also by daily growth, daily wisdom, daily strength, daily guidance. daily peace, because those things are signs too. The enemy wants you focused only on what has not happened yet. I want you to recognize what is already happening, because gratitude strengthens faith, and faith helps you recognize my movement. There is another sign I want you to notice. Your desire for deeper peace, your desire for greater purpose, your desire for closer relationship with me. Those desires are not accidents. They are invitations. I am drawing you closer. I am preparing you for more. I am leading you into greater maturity, and maturity always precedes greater responsibility. You may not realize it yet, but I am preparing you for things that require a stronger version of you. That is why growth matters. That is why character matters. That is why trust matters. Because what I am preparing is larger than what you currently see. The season ahead will require faith, not fear. Trust, not panic. Confidence, not discouragement. And that is exactly what I have been developing within you. I know there are still questions. I know there are still uncertainties. I know there are still things you do not understand. But do not allow unanswered questions to blind you to answered prayers. Do not allow remaining challenges to hide completed victories. Do not allow present struggles to erase evidence of my faithfulness. Look carefully. I have been with you all along. The proof is everywhere. In your growth, in your survival, in your wisdom, in your resilience, in your desire to keep moving forward. All of those things are evidence. Evidence that I have not abandoned you. Evidence that I am still working. Evidence that I am preparing something greater. The season ahead will require a new level of trust, because where I am leading, you will sometimes stretch your understanding. There will be moments when faith becomes necessary again. Moments when courage becomes necessary again. Moments when obedience becomes necessary again. But you do not need to fear those moments, because I will be with you just as I have always been. I did not bring you this far to leave you. I did not prepare you this much to abandon you. I did not invest this much into your growth to walk away now. The same hand that guided you yesterday is guiding you today, and that same hand will guide you tomorrow. My child, begin paying attention to the evidence of my presence. It is everywhere. You are growing. You are learning. You are healing. You are becoming. And that transformation is one of the clearest signs that I am already moving in your life. If this message speaks to your heart today, write, "God is already working," in the comments. Declare it with faith, and stay with me. Today, I need to prepare you for something important, something many people misunderstand when they are standing closest to the answer they have been praying for, something that causes many people to give up at the exact moment they should remain steadfast. Listen carefully. The final stage before breakthrough often feels like the hardest stage of all. I know that may sound surprising. You would think that things would become easier as the answer gets closer. You would think that peace would automatically increase. You would think that uncertainty would completely disappear. But many times the opposite seems to happen. The pressure increases. The resistance increases. The doubts become louder. The temptation to quit becomes stronger. And because people do not understand what is happening, they often mistake pressure for defeat. But pressure is not always a sign that something is wrong. Sometimes pressure is a sign that something is about to change. Think about the moments before dawn. The darkness appears deepest just before the first light breaks across the horizon. Not because light is losing, because light is arriving. Think about a seed beneath the ground. Before it breaks through the surface, tremendous pressure surrounds it. Yet that pressure is not proof of failure. That pressure is part of the process. Think about a child entering the world. Before birth comes labor. Before arrival comes pressure. Before a new season begins, there is often a period of stretching. And many of you are living in that season right now. You feel pressure. You feel resistance. You feel uncertainty. You feel stretched beyond your comfort zone, and part of you wonders if something has gone wrong. But I want you to hear me clearly. Do not interpret every difficult moment as evidence of defeat. Some difficulties are evidence that growth is taking place. Some difficulties are evidence that transition is happening. Some difficulties are evidence that preparation is reaching completion. The enemy understands what is at stake. He understands that if he can convince you to quit now, he can prevent you from stepping into what I have prepared. That is why discouragement often becomes louder near the finish line. That is why doubt often becomes louder near the finish line. That is why fear often becomes louder near the finish line. Not because those voices are becoming stronger, because they are becoming desperate. They know they are losing influence. They know their time is limited. They know what is ahead for you, and they want you to abandon hope before you arrive. Do not listen. Do not agree with those voices. Do not allow temporary pressure to create permanent decisions. You have come too far. You have survived too much. You have grown too much. You have learned too much. You have prayed too much. You have trusted too much. You have endured too much. To quit now. Stand firm. Remain steady. Remain faithful. Remain hopeful. Because what you are experiencing today is not the entire story. There are things happening behind the scenes that you cannot yet see. There are answers moving toward you. There are opportunities forming. There are doors preparing to open. There are connections being arranged. There are circumstances shifting, even now, even while you wait, even while you wonder, even while you struggle to understand. I am still working. I know there have been moments recently when you felt unusually tired, not only physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. You have felt the weight of waiting, the weight of responsibility, the weight of uncertainty. And some days it has felt heavier than usual. But do not mistake exhaustion for failure. You are tired because you have been carrying responsibilities. You are tired because you have continued showing up. You are tired because you have continued fighting battles that nobody else fully understands. And I see every bit of it. I see the effort. I see the faithfulness. I see the determination. Nothing has been wasted. Not one prayer. Not one tear. Not one act of trust. Not one decision to keep moving when quitting seemed easier. I have seen it all, and I am strengthening you even now. There are moments when breakthrough arrives gradually, and there are moments when breakthrough arrives suddenly. You do not always know which kind of moment you are approaching, but I do. That is why I ask you to stay faithful regardless of what you see, because faithfulness is not based upon visible results. Faithfulness is based upon trust. Trust that I am who I say I am. Trust that I am doing what I promised to do. Trust that I remain committed to your future. And I am. Always. There is something else I want you to remember. The pressure you feel today will not last forever. This season is temporary. The challenge is temporary. The uncertainty is temporary. The waiting is temporary. I know it does not always feel temporary. I know some days feel long. I know some nights feel longer. But seasons change. That is what seasons do. Winter does not remain forever. Storms do not remain forever. Darkness does not remain forever. And neither will this season. A new season is approaching. A season where clarity increases. A season where peace deepens. A season where answers become visible. A season where doors begin opening. A season where my faithfulness becomes easier for you to recognize. You are closer than you think. Closer than fear wants you to believe. Closer than discouragement wants you to believe. Closer than doubt wants you to believe. Do not surrender now. Do not retreat now. Do not lower your expectations now. Continue moving forward. Continue trusting. Continue believing. Because the breakthrough is not behind you. It is ahead of you. My child, one day you will look back at this season and realize that what felt like unbearable pressure was actually preparation for a greater level of blessing, wisdom, and purpose. You will see that I was with you the entire time. You will see that I never abandoned you. You will see that every step had meaning, and when that day comes, your faith will be stronger than ever before.